Welcome to the webinar. I'm Tammy Slater-Kendrick, and I'm going to show you the exact steps that you can take to create a real estate business that generates whatever income level you choose. Now, it's whether you're a brand new agent and you're just not sure where to start, or maybe you've been doing this for a while, but you're not seeing the level of success that you want. This process is a proven formula that can create a business that's consistent no matter what happens with the real estate market. But first, I want you to know that I am not going to waste your time today. This isn't one of those webinars where you get a teeny bit of useful information followed by 20 minutes of sales pitch. And I'm not going to spend 10 minutes giving you my background. Let me just assure you that I've been successfully helping real estate agents build and grow their business for the past several years. And I don't just talk the talk. I'm a real estate agent doing this every single day, just like you. That's all you really want to know, right? Because today isn't about me. Today is all about you and laying out the exact steps that, if you follow the process, will allow you to create a real estate business that brings you financial success and creates a business that will withstand market changes and competitors that are trying to put us all out of business. Now, I've got some free tools for you. And at the very end, I'm going to give you a very quick offer if you want to take advantage of it. If not, take the information presented here along with your free tools and build a great business for yourself. So let's start by doing a hard look at what being a real estate agent is and what it isn't. So first, I have a couple of questions for you. First is, do you work for the MLS or your local board? How about the National Association of Realtors or some other organization? What about your broker? Do you work for any of them? Do any of them cut you a paycheck? Do you get paid for hours worked? Do they tell you to come in at 8 a.m. and leave at 5, take an hour for lunch, and I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars every week? The answer, of course, is no. The truth is that as real estate agents, we own our own businesses, which means we work for ourselves. Nobody's cutting us a paycheck. Because of that, we get to determine our own level of success. And the good news is there are no limits on what that income can be. There are only limits on our time and on our thinking. What's more, there are teams out there that are doing hundreds of transactions a year and they're making millions of dollars. But what's also true is that there are thousands and thousands of agents across the country who only do 1 or 2 transactions a year, or they don't do any at all, and they don't make anything. As a matter of fact, for some people, being a real estate agent actually costs them more in MLS fees and other dues and things like that than they make. So the question that I have for you is, where do you want your business to be? In the millions? Nothing at all? Or maybe somewhere in between? Whatever your answer is, today is designed to get you there. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to define exactly what your financial goal is or what it should be, and we're going to base it on real numbers. Secondly, we're going to craft the strategy that will get you to that goal no matter what it is. These are the steps that are included in part of that. We're going to identify your target customer base. We're going to set up a system to help you stay top of mind with those people once you've identified them. I'm also going to talk about advertising for little or no cost. We're also going to talk about the need to add more people to your database on a regular basis. We're also going to talk about the need for doing a listing presentation that gets results so that you're not spending a lot of time going out on presentations and not getting the listing. We're also going to talk about helping your sellers sell for the highest price possible in the shortest amount of time, because it's best for them if you can do that, and it's best for your business if you can establish a reputation as somebody that helps them do that. And the ultimate goal is that we're going to build a business that's based on past clients and referrals so that you're not out there chasing new customers, brand new people all the time for years and years and years. So here's the 10-step process in a nutshell. First, as I mentioned, we're going to determine goals. We're going to identify your ideal client or farm area. We're going to reach them regularly with useful content. This is the key to getting started. You want to keep your name in front of them with your marketing message. And in order to attract them on the front end, you want to be able to offer them a lead magnet, an entry point of offer, something that a seller would ask for so that you can get people to identify themselves as sellers. Then you can also offer them something more substantial, something that's so good they would actually pay for it. Then when you meet with them, you're going to show them what you have to offer, your unique selling proposition. You want to differentiate yourself from other agents if they are meeting with other agents. And then you're just going to ask for the next logical action, which is for them to list with you versus someone else. After you've worked with them, you successfully help them buy or sell a house, you're going to stay in touch with them. You're going to keep yourself top of mind with them so that you're the first person they think of when somebody says, I'm thinking about buying or selling. And you're going to ask for referrals on a regular basis so that we are always in a very non-salesy way, in a very comfortable way. We're just going to ask people to help refer you to their friends and family. So let's begin. Determining your goals. Step 1. You can't hit a bullseye if you don't even know where the target is, right? So let's get specific about what success looks like for you based on your unique goal, not somebody else's number. Here's a common agent mistake. When they look at how much they need or want to make per month or per year, a lot of agents will tell me, oh, I want to make $100,000. You know, that seems like a good number. Some people tell me I want to make $50,000. Some people tell me I want to make $500,000. Then the numbers vary. But most of the time, that number is somewhat arbitrary. They just pull that number out of the air because it sounds good. It sounds like a good goal. And it's not based on a real number. So let's say they tell me, I want to make $100,000 a year. The first question is, how many home sales does that require? They tell me, I want to make $100,000 a year. And the average sales price in their area is, let's just say, $250,000, because that's about a good national average. And they assume a sales commission of 3%. That means on every sale they make, they're expecting $7,500 in commission, correct? So they take the $100,000, they divide it by $7,500 commission, and they say, okay, great, I need 13 sales a year in order to hit my goal of $100,000. But the problem with that is that it doesn't take into account the actual net after expenses. They don't account for deals that fall through. And it may or may not reflect actual sales prices in the area in which they work. Maybe they take this $250,000 national average and that's the number they use. But in their farm area, the sales price is less than that. Maybe it's only $200,000. What happens in cases like this when people use arbitrary numbers and they're not based on reality is they get maybe halfway through the year and they're broke. Then they realize that they've only been working with maybe $150,000 buyers and sellers, and they actually charged a 5% commission, maybe because they were new and they didn't feel comfortable getting 6%. So they only got 2.5% of that because we split it, right? And a lot of their deals fall through. And then they had expenses that they didn't plan for, and they didn't save for taxes, so the tax bill bites them. Suddenly, they're so far short of their goal, they start wondering if they'd be better off with a, quote, real job. I don't want that to happen to you. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get real about all of these things. First, we need to identify what the actual average price point is for your specialty area, whether it's a physical neighborhood or a farm based on a specialty. It could be either one. You can use your MLS, you can use Zillow, you can use county records, whatever is available to you. But the area that you choose or the specialty that you choose, you need to do a 2-year look back and ask, what was the average sales price in that area over that 2-year period? That's the number you're going to use, not some national or local statistic. Don't even use a statistic given to you by your broker's office. You want to look at your particular neighborhood or specialty. Second, we need to know what your average commission rate is. Now, if you're just getting started, you may not know what the average commission rate is. So what you need to do is utilize your MLS tools. When you do your look back, take a look at the sales in your farm area and look for what the commission rates were that were offered. You need to be consistent with that, correct? That's the number that you want to use for your calculations. Then once we know the average sales price and the average commission rate, we can make an assumption about what the gross commission income or GCI is. For example, let's say that your average sales price is in fact $250,000, and let's say that the sales are half of them are at 5%, half of them are at 6%. You're only going to get half of that. So some of them you get 2.5%, some of them you get 3. Let's average it out and say it's 2.75%. That means for each sale, you can expect an average of about $6,875 in commission. But that's not everything, is it? You don't get to keep all of that, put it all in the bank. Generally, we split it with a broker. So you need to take your broker split into consideration. So in this example, let's say that it's an 80-20 split. You get 80% and the broker takes 20. So we need to deduct the 20% that goes to the broker. Now instead of the $6,875, the commission is only $5,500. We also have to take into consideration any expenses associated with that sale, especially for the listing agent. We have marketing expenses, and whether you're representing a buyer or a seller, you're probably going to have client gift that you're going to give them. You're going to have expenses driving people around. There are expenses associated with every single sale, which regardless of which side you're on, and that comes right out of your own pocket. If you were running a brick and mortar business selling widgets, you'd call this your cost of goods sold. So let's assume, for example, that you have a $250 expenses on this listing example, $250 for your photography and your marketing expenses, etc. Now your commission is only $5,250. There's a big difference then between this $5,250 and the $6,875 we started with, isn't there? Or even more, between the $5,250 and the $7,500 that we initially assumed. Now, once we have the actual number from each sale, we'll have a better idea of how many sales we need per year to reach our goal. Now, in this example, we're now looking at 19 sales a year instead of the 13 that we used in the initial example. This isn't 100% the end of it, though. We also need to take into consideration our closed sales percentage, which means we also need to know how many of our listings actually close, because not all of them do. And we need to make sure that our original budget takes into consideration all of our other business expenses. This first step, this determining your actual goals, is so critical, and it's where so many agents get into trouble. They quit their job and they get into real estate thinking they only need, say, a half a dozen sales a year to replace their $50,000 salary. And if they actually hit the goal of getting 6 sales, they realize that they only took home about $30,000. So they're $20,000 short for the year. So because this is so important, what I'd like to do is let's put this into a spreadsheet and actually run some numbers, okay? I'm going to show you the spreadsheet, but I'm also going to give it to you in the free tools below so that you can do your own numbers after today's session. I don't want you to worry about trying to do this as we're going through this today. I just want you to look at the example, then take the spreadsheet and use it for yourself and play with it so you know your numbers. What I want you to do basically is just follow along, make sure you understand what it is I'm doing, and feel free to pause the video and back it up. So here's the Excel file that you're going to be able to download, and if you need Excel in order to work this, I'm sorry, but if you don't have Excel, please go to Microsoft Office 365, and for about $12 a month you can get a license to use all of the Microsoft products. Use it. Trust me, it's well worth the expense. Now, first thing you'll notice is that in this Excel spreadsheet there are 4 tabs. There's an expenses tab at the bottom and a GCI tab. Then there's an expenses example and a GCI example. Basically, you're working with these 2 sheets. These two, the example sheets, are provided just because I put some fake numbers in there so that you could see what it looks like when you've got all the numbers filled in, just as an example. What you'll notice, first of all, is that there are fields that are shaded in kind of a light, creamy yellow color. That's where you actually put information in. You can click on those links and you can put your information into them. These other fields that are not shaded, you cannot enter anything into them. They're protected. The reason I've done that is that there's formulas in those cells that automatically do the calculations for you, and I didn't want you to accidentally mess up those formulas. So basically, you're just going to start here at the top. This is your personal expenses. What I want you to capture is all of your personal household expenses. And this can be either what you currently need or based on where you want to be, what number you want to spend. I'm going to leave that up to you, and you'll have to go through your budget to find out what those actual numbers are. Then we've got a field for monthly discretionary expenses. And by discretionary, I mean this is your spending money. in addition to your hard fixed costs for your household expenses, this is your play money. How much money do you want to have to go to the movies, to go out to dinner, to go on vacations? And then I want you to also set a monthly savings goal so that you can set money aside every month. The second section is for capturing your business expenses, and I put in here some common categories of expenses that we all have, and you'll notice that some of the shaded areas are in the monthly column and some are in the annual column, because things like board dues, most of us only pay those once a year. Now, I also included in these lines down here, 32, 33, 34, 35, the ability for you to type in there anything additional, something maybe that I didn't pick up as an expense item. Feel free to use these cells for that. Now, let's take a look at my example, because I filled in some numbers just so we can see what that looks like. So let's say that in my example, I need $4,000 a month for my household. I want to spend $1,000 a month play money, going to the movies and saving for vacations. I want to save $500 a month. I personally need, after taxes, cash in my pocket, $5,500 a month, or $66,000. And then I went through and I put in some example business expenses. By subscriptions, I mean things that you pay for on a monthly basis. For example, if you have a CRM that you use on a monthly basis, that would fall into subscriptions, or if you get some kind of training, that sort of thing, you can put it in there. When I add all of my business expenses, they come up to, I need $23,700 in this example just for business expenses. That's in addition to my personal expenses. So the two added together comes out to $89,700. And again, that's net in my pocket after taxes. This is where the GCI calculator comes in handy. The gross commission income, or GCI worksheet, helps you determine what you get on every single sale. It's laid out the exact same way. You have fields that are highlighted that you go ahead and put in that information, like that average sales price we talked about. So for example, if I said that our average sales price was $250,000, you just type it in and it's going to calculate for you what your gross commission is, and then you put in your agent split. If you get 80%, put in 80. If you're on a 70% split, put in 70. The section below that is for cost of sale. Now, if you have a listing, you're going to have more expenses. So if you're the listing agent, you're going to have photography costs, printed materials. Regardless of whether you have the listing side or the buyer side, you might want to have postage. You might want to do, just sold postcards if you represented the buyer. If you're the lister, you're going to do open house expenses. You're going to have advertising. And again, these are only costs that are associated with that one sale. This is not your overall business expenses. We've got some additional things, like maybe you hire a closing assistant or transaction coordinator. Once you put all of those numbers in, and let's go to my example. First, you'll notice that the first thing that happened was it pulled in that $89,700 number that was in my example that I need net. I put in the $250,000. Again, I assume that some of my sales are at 2.5%, some are at 3%. And I ran some sample examples. All of the cost of sales cost me about $910. That means my agent taxable income, which is my, scroll just a little bit, which is my net commission minus the expenses, my net taxable income is $4,590. But now you have to pay taxes. Let's account for the taxes up front so that you're not hit by them at the end of the year as a big surprise. We have to pay self-employment taxes because we're all self-employed now, and that's 15%. So it's going to calculate this automatically for you. And then I'm assuming a tax rate of 24% in this example. And I did include a tax table at the bottom, because if you are planning on, larger numbers, you need to plan for higher taxes. And I'm in the state of Florida, so I don't have state income taxes. But if you do have state income taxes, be sure that you add those together when you plug in your number. So I just assumed in this example a 24% tax rate. That's another $1,000. So now when I take the $4,590 minus the self-employment taxes, minus the income taxes, my net in this example, instead of $4,590, my money that I'm putting in my pocket is only $2,800. That is such a huge difference from the way most agents calculate it. That's why I want you to be sure that you look at this. So in this example, at $2,800 per sale, in order for me to make $89,700, I need 32 sales per year. Now I went ahead and included in this what that total sales volume would look like. And by total sales volume, I mean if you add up the sales price of all of the properties that you sell, the sales prices would add up to $8,009,215. So I need 32 sales. Now I made a pretty big assumption on this. I said that 1/3 of all of the people I work with are not going to close. That's a pretty big number. It probably is not that high, but I went ahead and assumed a little high. In order to accommodate for that, I need to work with 53 people a year in order to have 32 closings. That means I need to work with 5 people a month in order to have 32 closings a year, because I need to accommodate for the people that end up not closing. So please download the spreadsheet. Make sure that you use it to calculate real numbers for your business. All right, the rest of the steps won't take nearly as long as that first step did. First of all, it's just more involved, but secondly, it's just also that important. So the next thing we want to do is identify who your ideal client or your ideal farm area is. You want to be laser focused when it comes to building and communicating with your database. For example, you don't want to have 500 different conversations that take up 20 hours of your day, do you? What you really want to do is you want to have 1 or 2 conversations with 500 people all at the same time. But at the same time, you want to make them feel like it's personal and one-on-one. And to do that, they need to have something in common, which is one of the reasons why we use farming. Now, you can either use a geographic area, such as a neighborhood, or you can choose a demographic farm. And by that, I mean that you target a group of people that share something in common, such as high-end homes or horse properties or golfers, boaters, something like that. Either strategy is okay, but the main thing for you to focus on is that you want to position yourself as an expert in that farm. Some people, their farm is their kids' school. The parents are at their kids' school because they get together with those people on a regular basis and they've made a name for themselves as the real estate agent in their kids' school. Whatever you want to do is fine, as long as you have the ability to put them all together and communicate with them in a way that makes it feel personal. And in order to do that, they need to have something in common. All of your communications with them should be designed to educate and remind them that you're the specialist in this area. If you don't know what you want to do as far as your farm, I'd start with a neighborhood. Now, you can always target a golf community or really high-end neighborhood if you want to do that and kind of do a combination of both. It's just usually easier to reach people in a neighborhood than it is to reach people who share a hobby or a passion, unless you already belong to that group and you have the ability to target them and you've got their contact information. But it's totally your choice. Here's where you need to stop and identify whether or not it's a good farm area by doing your homework. So what we want to do is you want to look at the price point. Is the price point in your target range? If you made assumptions based on a $250,000 average price point, look at that neighborhood and say, is it an average $250,000 price point? Is it maybe higher or is it lower? You need to know so that you can adjust your formulas on that spreadsheet. You also need to know the average number of sales that occur per year in that farm area. Once you know the average number of sales, I want you to assume no more than 20% market domination. Now, you might be able to get 50% of the people in that neighborhood to use you as a real estate agent, but I don't want you to count on a number that high. If you get 1 out of every 5 homes that sells in that neighborhood, you're doing good. So I would say assume 20% market domination. So as you're doing your homework and you say there are 500 homes in this neighborhood, it's a $250,000 price point, 50 homes sell per year, and if I'm the dominant agent in that market, I'm going to get 10 of them. So now you have 10 sales in that neighborhood that you can count on a yearly basis. So from there, you just adjust your farm as needed. If all of the numbers don't work, you can either make your farm area bigger so that you're targeting more people. You can move neighborhoods so that it's a higher price point. Or you can move to a neighborhood that maybe has more sales per year. That's what I mean by doing your homework. Do all of this up front before you start targeting a neighborhood and spending money on marketing, because you don't want to find out at the end of a year or 2 years of doing this that you spent a lot of money marketing to people, and all along what you weren't considering is that the price point wasn't high enough, or there are not enough sales in the neighborhood in a year's time in order for you to make enough money to sustain yourself. So our goal is for you to get crystal clear about where you're going to farm, so that you can plan your lead generation activities accordingly. Now let's look at those lead generation activities. You want to reach them regularly with useful content. I want you to hit them with content 2 times per month. And by content, I don't mean sales message. I mean something useful, something that's directly relevant to them. For example, you can hit them with a printed newsletter. If you do a printed newsletter, use a template and use monthly themes. So if you've got your template set up and you use a monthly theme, you can plan your whole year in advance. For example, January's theme is going to be all about starting a new year. February's theme can be Valentine's Day if you want to. Pick a theme for every single month of the year. Go ahead and get those newsletter templates prepared for the whole year with your graphics, whatever you need. And then you can just plug in some information on a monthly basis. You can also do electronic newsletters, and you can also do other emails. The electronic newsletters, you just use the same template that you do for the printed, but you're sending it to them via email so that you're saving money. Or maybe you do both so that you're hitting them 2 different ways. And that you need to automate. By automation, you can put it into a tool like MailChimp, for example, get them set up, blast it out. It goes to everybody at once. You're not sending 500 or 1,000 emails out. You're sending one email and it goes out to 500 or 1,000 people. And then you can go ahead and pre-plan. You can get them ready 3 weeks ahead of schedule and then go on vacation and have it go out when you wanted it to, for example. So you want to use automation as much as possible. If you get busy and you end up with 3 or 4 deals happening all at one time and a lot of things are going on with them, you want to know that your marketing efforts are continuing without you. They're running in the background so that you can continue to focus on working with those clients. Another way to reach them is with just listed and just sold postcards. Now, these are not useful content. These are more marketing messages, but it basically is positioning you as the expert saying, hey, just listed this property or just sold this property. Okay. You can also do door hangers. If printed newsletters via regular mail is too expensive, walk around the neighborhood and do door hangers. It's a great way to meet people. You don't have to knock on doors if you don't want to. You can just do the door hangers, but people will over time see you if you're doing it consistently. Again, the key is consistency. You can also do social media links to blog posts. And again, for that, you can do a pre-scheduled drip in Facebook. For example, you can schedule when you want a post to hit. Use other people's content. Use blog posts that tie back to an article that you read, for example. So you don't have to write a whole lot. You just write, hey, I saw this great article on USA Today. I thought it would share it with you because it's so timely. Boom. Then you put a link into the USA Today article. You can do things like that. You can also create helpful videos, and videos are so important today because it gives people the opportunity to see you and they hear you, and it gives them an ability to feel like they get to know you. Think about actors and actresses that you see on movies or television all the time, especially if they play a similar character in everything, like on a TV show where they're playing the same character. You kind of feel like you know them because you always see them and you know what to expect. You know what their personality is like. You know their sarcasm and that sort of thing. People will get to know you the same way if you're creating videos. And some of the helpful videos, for example, that I'm working on with mine is just things like how to clean a stainless steel refrigerator, how to, clean your gutter, or who to call if you need to get your gutters cleaned. There's a lot of different things that you can do that are helpful homeowner type tips, as well as helpful videos like how to get your house ready to be sold and how to work with a real estate agent if you're a buyer, that sort of thing. Again, your goal is that you want to create a name for yourself as the go-to real estate expert for that farm. And in order to do that, you need to be reaching them with useful information. And you need to be reaching them in different formats. So we're hitting them a couple of times a month, but we're hitting them sometimes via regular mail, sometimes email, sometimes it's a video. There's different ways that we're hitting them. They're seeing you on social media. And yes, sometimes that means you have to pay for social media in order to do it. The reason that we want to use different methods is that you can't just send, for example, 3 emails a month if you want to hit somebody 36 times a year. Because if you're like me, you've probably requested information from somebody in the past and you've gotten onto their email list, just like your people are going to get onto your list. And at first you look at their stuff. Then over time you read it less and less, and eventually you just hit delete without ever looking at it, right? I do that all the time. I look through my email list and I see names that I recognize. And honestly, after a while, I can't even remember what their deal was, why I subscribed to them in the first place, but I just go ahead and hit delete. Okay. People were going to do that with you, but if you're providing good, useful content and you're mixing it up, you'll still keep your name in front of them. You also do want to give them marketing messages periodically, but you don't want to do that more than 1 or 2 times a month. If they're getting some useful content from you a couple times a month and then you hit them once a month with a marketing message, they're not going to just automatically tune out your message thinking that it's advertising, because it won't be. Now, because reaching them in a variety of different ways costs money, and your goal is to make money, not to spend money, we're going to look at ways that you could spend as little of your money as possible. To be successful over the long haul for years to come, we also need to make sure that the database stays full of people who are actively consuming your information. And that means that you need to plan on replacing people who drop off the list. Sometimes they die, or they move away, or they just simply stop listening. And at first, you probably need to add a lot of people to begin with. So you're going to be adding people every week to build up the size of your database. But over time, your efforts to gain new people can slow down. And then eventually you spend less and less time prospecting for new people, and you focus more and more on those that you have a relationship with. Because business comes from relationships, not just marketing messages. So it's important that you want to develop rapport with your people. Okay. You'll get a lot more business from 200 people who actually know you than you will from reaching 2,000 people who don't know you and just see your advertising message. And it's a lot less time consuming, and it's far less expensive. Now, there are 2 methods that I recommend for reaching people inexpensively. The first thing is that you want to make every effort that you can to get their contact information. That's their email address and their phone number, and you want to get permission to contact them. So you want to get their contact information in a non-threatening and in a non-salesy way. So you can't be pushy about this, or people will just say no, they don't want to give you their contact information. And some of the ways that I do that is by offering them something that a seller would ask for, or if I wanted to target buyers, it'd be something that a buyer would ask for. So I offer, for example, a seller book PDF. I have a PDF that I can email to people, and it gives them hints and tips on how they can get their home ready to sell for the highest price in the shortest time. Another way that you can do that is to offer a free report, such as, for example, 5 ways to increase the value of your home in a weekend. Another thing that you can offer is a home market analysis. Now, personally, I don't like to start with the home market analysis just because that's what the majority of agents seem to be doing, at least in my area, is they say, how would you like a free, analysis on the price of your home? And it seems like everybody is doing that. So that's why I created my seller book PDF, and I created their free report. It gives me a way to offer them something that other agents are not. Now, along with these products, when they get them, and in every other communication that I do with them, I always want to include some kind of marketing message that says to them, my goal is to be the agent of choice for my neighborhood by being the best real estate agent, providing the best service, and who gets homes sold for the highest price in the shortest time. I want to drive that message home over and over and over again. My goal is to be the agent of choice. I do that by being the best real estate agent, and by best real estate agent, I mean best service, highest price, shortest time. Over and over again. If you can continue to drive that message, eventually it starts sinking in. You can't just say it once. You need to remind them of it all the time. So that's kind of like my tagline that I would use. The second way that I like to reach them is by calling everybody on a quarterly basis. So if you have a database of a few hundred people and you break it down to making just a few phone calls every day, it's not that tough to do. And you can pre-schedule it. You know exactly who you're going to call the first week of every quarter, the second week of every quarter. They're going to get a very quick phone call, and sometimes it's just a voicemail, but it's a touch from me that says, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. I saw your post on Facebook, if I follow them there, and I just wanted to congratulate you on something, or I'm just touching base to let you know here's what's happening in the market, and I wanted to find out if there was anything I could do for you. It's a really non-salesy call at all. You don't call and say, hey, I'm just calling to see if you're thinking about buying or selling a home. No, instead I just call to say, hey, just touching base, haven't talked to you in a while, wanted to provide this little tidbit of information or something. And then I always just follow up with, hey, don't forget about me if there's anybody that you know who's thinking about buying or selling. Or you can even ask at the end of the call, depending on how the call goes. By the way, is there anybody that you've talked to recently that's thinking about buying or selling their home? Is there somebody that I can help? Or let me know if there's anybody that I can help. There's a lot of ways that you can phrase it so that it's non-salesy. Just remember that if you truly are the best real estate agent to represent them in your market, it is literally your moral responsibility to make them realize that you are the one to work with and to remind them of it. If you let people in your market go to an inexperienced agent who doesn't know the area, who doesn't know your specialty, and they work with somebody else and they overprice their home and it sits on the market for a really long time, you should feel guilty because you didn't do your job to get in touch with them and help them get their home sold. If you will approach your business from that standpoint, it will make contacting people feel a lot more comfortable, and it will make you not feel like a salesperson. Now, for those that do ask for a seller or a buyer related offer, those are pretty hot prospects. I mean, they're not likely to ask for a book on how to sell their home for the highest price in the shortest time if they aren't actually interested in selling, right? So what I do that once they've requested the information and I provide it, follow up in a couple of days offering something that's more substantial. A simple email can work here. All it has to say is, hey, since you got the blank, would you like X? For example, if they get an electronic copy of that book, ask if they would like a printed copy as well. If you're on the phone with them, when you ask this and they say yes, then respond with, great, I'll drop it off for you. Is tomorrow at 4 a good time? The market analysis offer is also a great follow-up item. So, for example, I said I don't like to offer the market analysis up front, but it's a great follow-up item. It's much better as a follow-up than it is as a first offer, in my opinion. If they get your seller PDF, for example, you could then offer a detailed market analysis that's specific for their home. Of course, you're going to need to get some questions answered, right? So this is where you get to ask for their phone number, so that you can give them a call. Then you need to ask what work they've done recently, how old the HVAC is, etc. Asking for their phone number is a very natural thing for you to do in this case. So if you say, since you got the seller book on how to sell your home for the highest price in the shortest time, would you like a detailed market analysis for your home? If they say yes, say, please provide your phone number so that I can call and get some specifics to make your market analysis more complete. You can also offer a video or video series that's on a CD or flash drive, something that you can physically drop off to them. I like to do my follow-up with something that I can physically drop off because it does give me the ability to ask for their phone number. I get their email address up front with the seller book, but offering something additional gives me an opportunity to get their phone number and permission then to drop something by. And then they can meet me in person. This isn't necessarily a listing appointment. Sometimes it turns into one, but when I drop by, it's just a way for me to get my face in front of them, shake their hand, introduce myself, say, hey, here's the thing that you asked for. Feel free to, consume the content, and I will be getting back to you in a few days. Also gives you an opportunity to ask them what their time frame is for selling so that you get a lot more concrete about it. The whole purpose behind step 6 is to get a face-to-face meeting of some sort and use that time to ask questions. The more questions you ask them, the more you get them talking to you about their goals and what they're trying to accomplish, and the less you say, the more they feel comfortable with you and the more likely they are to want to work with you versus somebody else. If you go in doing a hard sell the very first time you meet them, they're going to immediately put their defenses up. What you want to do is go in and ask questions. Let's do some quick role play here so that you can see what I mean. And let's use a different industry, for example. Let's say that you're the prospective client and I'm a travel agent. You responded to my ad on Facebook for a free PDF on vacationing in the Bahamas. Now, when you provided your email address, you got that PDF right away. It was automatic. And again, you need to use automated tools for this, but you get it right away. Then you got a follow-up email from me less than a day later, maybe even right away, that said, since you got the information on vacationing in the Bahamas, would you like information on airline discounts? Or would you like some videos on the best places to stay in the Bahamas? Now, does that feel like I'm hard selling you? Does it feel like I'm selling you at all? Did I even ask you to buy anything? I didn't, right? So now if I called you and I asked, can I answer any questions for you? Is there anything the materials didn't address that you would like to know? Okay, if not, would you like to book your vacation now? Notice I still haven't asked for any money. In real estate, we're offering the exact same thing. We're offering our help, and we're not asking for any money. If we're working with buyers, they never pay us. And if we're working with sellers, they only pay us if we get their home sold, right? So we should never feel like we're selling them anything. We're offering our expert services. So the goal here is to answer their questions, be helpful, and then just offer the next logical step. Since you got this, would you like airline discounts information? Would you like videos? It's very, very comfortable conversation. Now, when you do meet with someone to discuss selling their home, you're naturally going in with your listing presentation and maybe some sales materials, or maybe just your comp analysis with your listing presentation. The important thing is that you want to make sure you're the one who gets the listing. I have heard agents who say that they have to go on 5 appointments to get one listing. That's a 20% success rate, which means it's an 80% failure rate. That's horrible. You should be getting 80 to 90% of the listings you go on. Remember, getting them to agree to meet with you in the first place is the hard part. Once you're there talking with them face to face, you want it to be a no-brainer for them to work with you instead of someone else. Now, if they're meeting with more than one agent, and many times they won't be, they will only meet with one agent, but if they are meeting with more than one agent, the one question they have in their mind is, why should I work with you? Now, if your answer to that question is, because I'll get your home sold, or here's my company's brochure telling you how great we are, which is what the vast majority of agents are saying to them, then you're not setting yourself apart. At that point, it just comes down to who is telling them to list at the highest price because it appeals to their bottom line. And that strategy, offering the highest list price, is usually the worst way to take care of the seller because their home will sit on the market for a long time and they'll eventually sell for less than it should. And that is why so many people have a low opinion of real estate agents. We're better than that. You're better than that. You want the listing while you're there. Otherwise, some other agent is probably going to get it. So be sure that your material does what no one else is doing, and that is making it all about them and reaching their goals and what needs to happen to get them there. It really isn't about you. It really isn't. And as long as you can convince them that you have the expertise to get them where they want to go, they won't hire another agent. Now, if they already know that you're the go-to agent for the area, and even if they don't, but you've done a great listing presentation and you've built rapport and you answered all their questions honestly, it's time to ask the easiest question in the world. But it's the one that agents seem to be terrified to ask. And that's simply ask them to list with you. For them, it may not even be a question. It's just the next logical action. So it's something like, it makes sense to me. How about you? You could even say, It seems to me that we agree that $250,000 is the correct listing price. Is that what we're going to do? Notice it was a we. At this point, you have your contract out. You're ready to go. So you pick up your pen and you get ready and you start filling in the listing price. Now, if you're getting signals that they're probably going to push back, instead say, based on what we discussed, is there any reason why you wouldn't work with me? And then just wait for an answer. However long it takes, even though it's an awkward silence, they will fill it. If you continue talking, you won't find out their objections. So you need to wait for the answer. Now, there are dozens of sites available where you can go get common objection handlers. But honestly, if you build a good rapport and it's comfortable and you're not pushy and you've taken the time to understand why they're asking the questions that they asked, rather than just jumping to a quick answer, there really shouldn't be much pushback. I generally get very few objections that I have to handle. There have been a few times when I didn't get the listing at the appointment, but there has never, ever been a time when they chose another agent over me. Let me repeat that. Every single time I go on a listing appointment, I get the listing. Even after they meet with other agents, they come back and I get the listing. That's what I want for you. Now, after you've done a great job working with a client, don't let them just ride off into the sunset. Even if they move out of state, keep in touch. Seriously, if they lived in your city for 10 years, they still have people they keep in touch with, people that you can help if they want to move. Now, here are some ways that you can stay in touch with everyone in your sphere of influence, whether they've worked with you or not. So this applies to your entire sphere. That monthly newsletter we talked about, do it electronically. Once you've met with people and they've gotten to know you and they feel like they have a rapport with you, they're more likely to open an electronic email from you with the monthly newsletter. Or you could even do like a weekly stats update, something very quick. You can also do a branded magazine. There are companies out there that you can pay to print really nice, slick magazines, and it puts your contact information in there, and they will mail it for you. You just tell them who to mail it to. So every month they're getting this sleek, great magazine, and it's got your picture and all your information on it. And of course, just listed, just sold postcards. Even if they don't live in the neighborhood where you just listed or just sold, send it to them anyway, just so they are continually reminded that you are actively helping people buy and sell homes. You can also give them small gifts, especially at holidays or any other special events. There's an opportunity for you to drive around to your contacts every couple of months and give them something very small. Just drop by and say, hey, I just wanted to drop this off and leave it with you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Somebody else in their office is going to say, who was that? And they're going to say, oh, that's my real estate agent. And over time, what's going to happen is somebody's going to respond with, oh, really? Well, I'm thinking about selling my house, or I'm thinking about buying a house. It's this very simple way. It takes you a few minutes to stop in and drop it off. It's well worth it. And then every year, especially people that you helped buy a home, you can send them an updated home valuation. You can do this once a year or twice a year, and you can just drop it off or mail it, either one, and say, hey, just thought you'd want to see how your home has changed in value in the past year. And then the January after you've helped somebody buy or sell a home, send them a copy of the closing documents. They got it at closing, but remember, they moved. And when you move, a lot of times things get misplaced. So send them a copy of their closing documents in January, along with a note that says something simple like, you're going to need this for your taxes. I just thought I would provide it for you in case you can't find your copy. And then, like I said, you want to be reaching everybody once a quarter. Remember, this is not a business-to-business relationship, and it's not a business-to-consumer relationship. It's a human-to-human. It's you and your people. You're not a business that's talking to a consumer. So make sure that you think of it that way. And when you do call, your phone calls will feel more personal. And then I like to connect with the people that I help on social media. And just periodically, I will make a comment on a post that they put out there, or I'll like something that they like. Or maybe if I see a video or a meme or something, I'll tag them and say, hey, this made me think of you. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach people through social media, and for them it feels like a connection, and it only took you literally like 15 seconds to do. It's so worth it. Okay. And then also you can do coffee or lunch with people a couple of times a year. And on this one, especially if your time is limited because you should be getting busy with a lot of closings, you want to target your connectors, people that have a lot of connections, that they're very visible to a lot of people. Hairstylists, for example, accountants, attorneys, anybody in business who just has a lot of connections. You want to target having coffee or lunch with those people at least a couple of times a year. And then you yourself, you want to become a connector. So one of the things that you can ask when you work with somebody or in those phone calls with you is, hey, who can I introduce you to? And it may have absolutely nothing to do with homes. But let's say that you're working with somebody that is building their own business. Maybe they, for example, an accountant, and you can talk to them in July when they're not very busy, and you just say, hey, is there anybody that I can introduce you to help you with your business? And they might say something like, well, yeah, I'm trying to grow my accounting business. I would love to reach out and make connections with more business owners. Boom. Now you go through your database list and you try to connect those people together. If you do that, you will always be the person that accountant refers people to when they're thinking about buying or selling their home. Another thing that you can do is appreciation events. Maybe once a year, a couple times a year, you do something like rent out a movie theater and for an afternoon, and you host all your clients. Maybe you do a barbecue. You can get vendors to help you with this. There's a lot of ways that you can do appreciation events, and that's something that you can look up online and get some more ideas. Just keep in mind that your goal is to build a solid reputation for helping people sell their home quickly and for the highest possible price. For the past few years, many of us have been in markets where we can expect multiple offers the first week because we've been rebounding from the recession. In that type of seller market, any agent can be successful. All you have to do is get it on the MLS and on Zillow, and it's going to sell. If that's all it takes, companies like Zillow and iBuyer are going to replace us in a heartbeat, because sellers won't need to pay 5% or 6% or 7% commissions just to get photos put on the MLS. But remember, if you've been paying any attention at all, you know that the market is shifting towards a buyer market. And in some parts of the country, they're already there. And others are at least in a neutral market, so they're going through the swing from seller market to buyer market. This is where we're going to start losing mediocre agents, and where we can set ourselves apart from those online services, because those online services are not going to be able to provide the type of individual service that only direct human interaction and management can provide. As the market shifts, sellers either have to accept that they're going to get less for their home, or they're going to need to work with an expert who can help them get the highest price. Be that expert, and your real estate business can withstand competition from companies that have billions of dollars in venture capital trying to put us out of business. And then the last piece of this process for building a highly successful business is to have the majority of your business coming from past clients who are ready to move up or downsize, and from people that they refer you to. Remember that if your marketing is mostly automated or even outsourced, and all you have to do is have conversations with people who already know you, they like you, they trust you, then every day of your business is going to be fun and enjoyable. You can get your business to a point where you're just doing these quarterly touch phone calls, or you're talking to them when you're delivering gifts or having coffee or lunch like we talked about, and those appreciation events. Get them to invite a guest when you do those. That's why they're so impactful. You can get it where someone else is handling inspections and holding open houses and dealing with title issues, and your job is simply maintaining relationships and dealing with happy people and asking if you can help their friends or family. If you do that, your goal now becomes, as you've got a mature business, that you get at least one referral and introduction every 10 years. We're not asking people to refer people to you every single month, but if you can get one every 10 years that results in an actual client from everyone in your sphere, here's what the numbers can look like. If you only have 250 people in your sphere, that's 250 people that you're keeping in active contact with. 250 referrals over the course of 10 years will net you 25 clients a year, 25 sales a year. Now you're only making 250 quarterly phone calls. That's only 20 calls a week. That's just a couple phone calls a day. So if your number of closed sales transactions is only 19 sales a year to make $100,000, and we just said that if you have only 250 people in your sphere, you should be able to get 25 per year, you're going to be able to hit your goal. 19 sales a year is only 1.5 closed sales per month. Now again, this is rough numbers and it doesn't take into consideration all your other costs that we talked about earlier, but you get the idea. So these are the 10 steps. Go through them. Do each one of them. I also then want you to make 12 copies of the goal setting sheet and put it in a binder and record all your actual expenses on a monthly basis. It will make doing your taxes so much easier if you take this sheet and you track all of your expenses every single month. Okay? Then make copies of this GCI worksheet and create one per property, whether it sells or not, because then you're tracking all of the expenses that you had on that property, even if it didn't sell. If you will do these two things and make copies of these two forms, doing your quarterly taxes becomes easy. And I want you to file taxes quarterly. As you'll notice on the spreadsheet when you pull it up, there's a note about filing taxes quarterly. The reason for this is based on how it's laid out, you're probably going to set aside more for taxes than you need to. So if you file your taxes quarterly, pay your tax bill, whatever's left over, you get to then put that in your pocket. You get to transfer it over. I would rather have you withhold a little bit extra and then pocket it or put it into savings than to not withhold enough and find yourself scrambling to pay your taxes. So my free tool number 1 for you is that spreadsheet. Be sure to use it. I will also create it in a PDF format so that you can simply print it so that you can do it manually if you don't have Excel. My second free tool for you is that I'm going to make these slides, all of these slides available to you as a PDF so that you can download the slides so they can help you remember what we talked about. And then here's the third tool that I want to offer for you. I have just recently gone live with a site that is a referral club. In addition to getting referrals yourself from your clients, keep in mind that every single client that we meet that's moving, that's selling a house, is moving somewhere else. Maybe you can help them buy a house, maybe if they're moving close by, but if they're not, if they're moving out of your market area, refer them to another agent, an agent who specializes in that area, and that agent can help them. The purpose of the Agent Referral Club is for you to make connections with people in all of those other areas. So what I want to do, and it's free to join, is to get as many agents around the country as possible in the Agent Referral Club so that you have a quick and ready way to identify. So you go on a listing appointment, you meet with the seller, and the seller tells you, I am moving to Indianapolis. You're helping them sell their home, and you say, great, let's get your home sold. In the course of talking with them, either initially or just during the course of the sale, you can say, have you started looking in Indianapolis yet? Yeah, we've kind of been looking at some homes on Zillow. Great, have you identified an agent that can help you in that area? No, we haven't. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, they don't know an agent in that area. Probably 9.5 times out of 10. And you can say, you know what? I have a contact in that area. Let me get you in touch with that agent so they can help you find exactly what you're looking for. There is no cost to you to work with the agent. More than likely, they're going to say, okay, sure. And you can make a warm introduction to an agent in that city, and you can say, pay me a 25% referral fee. Here's a hot lead for you, somebody who's going to move as soon as we get the home sold. Now you've got a connection with that agent, and you've got a deeper connection with your client because you're helping them not only sell their home, hopefully for the highest price in the shortest time, you're also helping them work with somebody that can help guide them into their new area. Even if they're only moving 50 miles away, don't spend your time taking and showing them homes where you're not familiar with the market, you're not familiar with the homes. Refer it out and keep working with people in your area. So anyway, join Agent Referral Club. Like I said, it is a free resource for you. There's no reason for you not to take advantage of it. So recap, bonus number 1 are the worksheets. Those are yours for free. Bonus number 2, today's slides, yours free. Bonus number 3, Agent Referral Club is free to join. Remember the old commercial? But wait, there's more. And by the way, you can download all of those things below. So just click on the links. Remember that we talked earlier about having a great listing presentation that sets you apart and makes it all about them and not about you. And remember I said that I have never gone on a listing presentation where I did not get the listing. I would like to offer you that listing presentation along with the exact script that I use. It's a done for you presentation and it gets the listing, I'm going to say nearly every time. I have shared it with other people have purchased it and they have used it, and so far to my knowledge nobody has gone out and not gotten the listing. Like I said, the complete script is there. Now you do have the opportunity to customize it, put your picture in it, put your company's logo in it, put information about your company in it, and I also give you all the instructions on how to do that. It's in PowerPoint, so you need PowerPoint in order to do this. Again, Microsoft Office, $12 or $12.50 a month, well worth it. Get PowerPoint. Like I said, the instructions that I provided for you tell you exactly what to do on how to change the slides. Okay. This is normally a $299 value. I also am offering to you that seller lead generating book. Remember I mentioned that earlier, that I offer it as a lead generating magnet to get people's contact information. This book tells potential sellers what to do to get their home ready so that they can sell it in the shortest time for the highest price. Wouldn't it be nice if when you go out on a listing presentation with somebody, they've already done things like painted their home and updated what they could and gotten things ready and staged it properly so that it looks its best? Wouldn't that be awesome? It makes your job so much easier and it helps them get the highest price. So I wrote this book, but I'm giving you the opportunity to put yourself in as the author with your picture, your bio on the back. You can change the picture on the front. All of those things. Basically what it does is it helps you to set yourself up as a neighborhood or city expert. There are spots in the book where you can insert the name of your area. You can do your neighborhood, your city, your county, whatever information you want to utilize. There are places in the book that you just plug that information in so that you can set yourself up as the expert. Okay. You have the full rights to modify the content in any way. In addition to the neighborhood or city specific information, there's other paragraphs that feel free to change. Give yourself full credit as the author. I'm giving you that permission to do that. You can also add a custom cover page. I've got several different covers that you can choose from, but feel free to modify it, put whatever cover on it that you want, change the name, do whatever you want to do. I call mine Sell High, Sell Fast, How to Sell Your what neighborhood, whatever home for the highest price in the shortest time, but feel free to change the name. As I mentioned, you include yourself as the author on the back, put your picture in there, and then once you've got it ready, and you can literally get it ready in a matter of probably not more than an hour or two, then promote it on social media as a free download. You could also go to a printer and have it printed if you want. Remember that the only people who are going to ask for this information are people who are seriously thinking about selling. So they are very hot prospects. This isn't just some random, here's the phone numbers of everybody in your neighborhood, call them. These are people who are saying, yes, I am raising my hand to tell you I want to sell my home fast for the highest price, which means they are thinking about selling. This is something I normally sell at $495. The offer that I have for you is not, the two products combined come out to $794. I am not offering it anywhere near that price. I'm honestly offering each one of them to you at just $47 each. So if you only want to buy the listing presentation, $47. If you only want to buy the seller lead generating book, $47. And I'm offering a 90-day money back guarantee. You get the material and it isn't what you want, I will provide a refund for you. I seriously don't think you're ever going to take advantage of it. I'm giving you 3 full months to use it and see if you like it. I also am offering, if you want to buy both, the listing presentation and the seller lead generating book, I'm going to offer them both as a bundle and save you even more money. You can buy both of them for just $77. So I told you I had a short offer. That's it. So your next steps, just as a recap, download today's slides and follow the 10-step plan. Get the free worksheets. Join the Agent Referral Club. And then purchase one or both special offers before they're gone, because I'm not going to leave them here for a very long time. That's all I have. Hopefully this information will be useful to you and will help you build a great business that provides exactly the life that you hoped for when you got into real estate. Take care.